everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just saw Supergirl and ugh, I don't even know what to say, honestly. Did I think the movie was good? No, of course not. It wasn't the worst thing ever. I've seen many worse films in 2026 alone. It's not even the worst film I've seen this week. It's not even the worst film I've seen named Supergirl. But I still thought it just sucked. Like, I just didn't think there was much that I enjoyed about it. With that being said, I'm still kind of hesitant to, dump on the movie. I don't know why though. Basically, I never have problems with saying that a movie people like is shit, but for this movie, I feel reluctant. Maybe my cold, dead heart grew 3 sizes. Maybe it's because I've seen firsthand how DCU fans are reacting to not even the movie itself, but just the reception the movie's gotten. And I just feel kind of bad. And look at me, I'm raining on their parade. But at the end of the day, it's a movie just like any other movie. If I shit on the Super Mario Galaxy movie, I can shit on this movie, which isn't as bad. It's not as bad. But it has problems, just like any other movie that isn't good has problems. Supergirl is a movie about Supergirl, who is feeling isolated and directionless, and she crosses paths with a little girl named Ruthie, who tries to get revenge on this guy, Krem, who killed her whole family, and Supergirl's like, I don't really care. Until Krem poisons her dog and she decides to step in. The movie is an adaptation of the comic Woman of Tomorrow, which I have not read, but I'm told is a very beloved comic, and some of my friends have told me that the movie is not a super faithful adaptation. Now, me personally, I don't give a shit about that. If you want someone to criticize the movie from that perspective of like someone who's read the comic, you can find that. When it comes to these superhero movies, I don't care if it's 1-to-1 or even if it's faithful, really. I just want to see a good movie. I'll start with some things that I liked first because there were things I almost liked. I thought Millie Alcock was a good choice for Supergirl. I think there's an interesting arc with her to be had in this movie. I also liked Superman's appearances in the movie, and I'm happy we'll get to see more of the Superman-Supergirl dynamic in Man of Tomorrow. Other things I liked? Look, James Gunn said when he was made the head of DC Studios that he wasn't going to greenlight a project unless the script was rock solid. But this movie fails because it is just foundationally inept. The movie has this really awkward story structure. Like, they didn't even write the movie to have a simple beginning, middle, and end. We just have like a 20 to 30 minute cold open and then a 10-minute flashback sequence sandwiched in the movie, and then a 20-minute second act, and then the whole rest of the movie is just the climactic scene at the end of every superhero movie where the good guy and the bad guy fight. Just a very lumpy, awkward, uneven structure with no beginning, no middle, no end. Things just happen. I just mentioned how I liked Millie Alcock as Supergirl, but that is not the same as me liking Supergirl in the film. Whatever interesting character arc she could have had was simply just not present for the second half of the film. Like, she gets kidnapped and put on this planet with the yellow sun, and it also has a green sun. So she just spends a lot of the second half of the movie slowly dying until, for no reason at all, the yellow sun just shows up and she's fully healed. It felt like it should have been a character growth type moment, except she spent the whole time just dying. So there wasn't much growth to be had. And then Ruthie comes in and it seems like she's going to save Supergirl, but then she just gets captured. So not entirely sure what the point of that is. My friend who has read the comic said that in the comic, Ruthie actually succeeds in protecting Supergirl when she's on that planet. I don't know why they didn't do that in the movie, because it doesn't make any sense otherwise. But as for the other characters besides Supergirl, oh god, literally every character that isn't Supergirl has one character trait. Just one single trait. Ruthie, like I mentioned before, just wants revenge. All she wants is revenge on Krem. Krem is just evil. He's just boringly evil. He's very evil. Like, he kills people willy-nilly, but it's not interesting. It's not interestingly evil. Lobo is essentially a more serious Deadpool, it seems. Like on paper, I was expecting to think that Lobo would be cool, but in this movie, he just seemed really dumb. And the movie basically has no other characters than those four, except Superman, I guess. But he only had like 3 scenes. Maybe these characters could have been fleshed out if the movie were just longer. This movie clocks in at just 108 minutes, which is like nothing for one of these like superhero movies. That's just like nothing. The Flash, which is by far one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen, clocks in at 144 minutes. 144 agonizing minutes. The friend that I've brought up before already, he's very in the know when it comes to the details on these movies. He said there was 25 minutes cut out of the movie, and honestly, I think the movie could have benefited from being even longer than that. Like, I think at least 30 minutes extra to spend with these characters and spend developing them and developing their dynamics. I think it would have benefited from that. Now, you could say the movie could have been even worse if it were longer because they could maybe not develop these characters. And then we're spending even more time with these really boring characters. But a longer movie, I think, would benefit. The dialogue in this movie was also quite bad. It felt like stuff that the Star Wars writers just threw out. Same with the creature designs and the set designs. Like the design of the aliens was just not good at all. It was just really, really tacky and very, again, Star Warsy. And also, this isn't a problem with just this movie. A friend of mine pointed this out after we saw it. But can we stop making these space sci-fi movies where seemingly every location is a fucking dive bar? We got this massive, expansive galaxy with all these planets, and it's like every location is just a dive bar. Everywhere they go, they just go to a dive bar. Like, we get it. Your character is like an outlaw archetype, but show something else. Now, I already mentioned Krem before. The villain is always the weakest part of these superhero movies, but even with that, Krem I thought was really bad. He just straight up was not interesting to watch at all. Like, he was just generically evil. When the movie tried to make his evilness interesting, they just didn't do anything with it. They say in the movie that Krem and his brigand clan or race or whatever they are, they kidnap women, many of whom are children. Actually, I think all of them are children. And they force them to be their brides so they can like repopulate their clan or race or whatever. Like, that's insane. And the movie, after bringing it up, does jack and shit with it. Like I said before, James Gunn said he wasn't greenlighting a project unless the script was rock solid. And this movie, the script is just the biggest issue. While the script is the biggest issue, the directing does not do it any favors. Like, maybe this script was good when it was greenlit, and then over time, because the process of getting a movie made in the studio system is a long one, and these projects have to pass through many hands before it becomes a finished product, it just got worse and worse, and the directing did not, or could not, elevate the material. Craig Gillespie is a guy you hire when you want a director, but not any director in particular. I thought I, Tonya was fine, but that was mostly because Margot Robbie. Dumb Money was lame and not funny and also inaccurate. Cruella just flatly sucked. But if there's one thing I can say for certain about Craig Gillespie after watching this film, it's that he cannot direct this kind of movie. He cannot direct this kind of space action CGI movie. The action in this movie is quite bad, and the only trick he seems to know how to do is zooming in and out of a random part of the frame, and it looks so unnatural. The action scene near the end is the worst of them all. That one especially sucked, thanks to some awful slow-mo. Like, it's 2026. No director besides Zack fucking Snyder uses slow-mo anymore. The movie also has a very drab, brownish look to it. It's kind of the opposite problem that Superman had. Superman was really bright and icy and kind of blue. But at this point, I would rather have a movie that's too bright and has colors that pop over this muted, dull brown. And also, while again, I haven't read the original comic, I have Google. I can see what the comic looks like. It looks colorful. Why couldn't they just do that? Just do that on the movie. Now again, if you want to critique this movie from the perspective of someone who has read the comic, you can find it somewhere else. I don't give a shit if a movie is or isn't like the comic, but they clearly had the pieces to make a good movie, or at the very least make a fun blockbuster, but they just didn't. For whatever reason, maybe it's because Jason Momoa was in it, but the movie reminded me a lot of Aquaman. I guess because when I think of a generic superhero movie, I just think of Aquaman, like, oh, we have to go to this place to find this thing, and then go to this other place to find this person, and then there's a big CGI action sequence at the end. Also, there were a couple action scenes that were like, oh yeah, I'm a badass. Not to the same extent as Aquaman, but it was still there. It also reminded me a lot of Guardians of the Galaxy, with the silly space stuff and ironic snark and pop song needle drops, which, by the way, did not fit the movie at all, like they did in Guardians. This movie just frustrates me because, for whatever reason, it's impossible for these big studios to make a good female-led superhero film, like a truly good one. This movie isn't like the ones back in the 2000s where they were just doomed to fail. They were given low budgets and talentless directors and horrible scripts. This is like a Wonder Woman, where it should have just been a slam dunk. It should have just been at least fine, but they just didn't care enough. But to me, I felt like the movie was a bit more painful than Wonder Woman or like Captain Marvel or Black Widow, because by this point, there should be more effort and passion put into this kind of movie. At least Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel and Black Widow had a point. At least those movies had a central unifying idea. What's the point of this movie existing? What is the movie trying to say other than we need people to know who Supergirl is before Man of Tomorrow because she's going to be important in that? If it's not going to say anything, it could at least be a fun time. But it wasn't even a fun time. It was just limp and lifeless. Just a very, very displeasurable time at the theater. Did not enjoy this movie, really. Again, it's not like the worst thing ever. It's just like you could have tried harder. So yeah, 4 out of 10. Thank you all so much for watching this video. This was definitely way longer than I was expecting it to be. I did not think I was gonna have this much to say about Supergirl because I didn't really find it all that interesting to watch, at least. Leave a like if you liked the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Follow me on Letterboxd if you want to be up to date on what I'm watching. Follow me on Twitter. I don't post that often, but if you want to follow me and see random stuff, you can go ahead and do that. But I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.